We bought the mics, stat books for stands, topped up the name, made matching bands, new logo draft, new color scheme, 12 months in, still building the dream. This is a podcast, it took too long, did it song done but the show fell wrong. Got the
Hey, welcome everybody to the podcast that never happened. I'm James. So listen, this is the first one. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, we've been talking about it for 6 months. So finally on January 1st, my new wife just said, let's do it. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, for first podcast at last. And I think you called it what? The Real Deal Podcast? Yeah. And that remains to be seen. I mean, this is we don't know if it's a real deal, but it's really us. And we'll introduce ourselves today and just kind of dive into what we hope this podcast grows into. We're not even sure on the direction yet, but we know it has a base of our faith and our belief system and a lot of what we use to encourage ourselves to kind of manufacture a better day. So we want to share some of those tips and things that we, challenge each other with and that we take out into the world and see if it applies to you. And I don't know, we have some conversations about it. We'll have some emails, a way that you can get in touch with us and see how we can develop a kind of a talking back and forth.
Right. We're excited to just to dive into some things like, family and jobs and friends and the real life kinds of things.
Yeah. Some of you guys are blending families this year. We did last year. We just got married in June of last year. So we are in the plunge of blending and gelling lives together. And I mean, many of you, because of we know it in the world, many of you are in the same stage and you're trying to figure it out. So we figured what's better than hearing about some of our victories and some of our losses too. I mean, we got to be real.
Right. We're right at 6 months, and today, celebrating the new year, of course, we kicked it off with, a lot of fun, exciting kind of visionary things for the future. And we also kicked it off with a little, I don't know, what would we call that? We hate to call it a fight. Well, we don't want to call it a fight.
Well,
but,
it's not quite, there's different levels of, I think, intense conversation. And some people would describe it as a mix of words that turn into a deeper misunderstanding. Not quite a fight.
Right.
Just like you misunderstood. I mean, I think we still spiritually learned a valuable lesson. Yes. And I think what we want to do is hopefully bring that back into some meaning, right? So, I mean, here's how this whole thing works. We figure out that we have this kind of strategy, right? And so we've figured out that life is almost like when you kind of compare it. You think about martial arts, right? And you think how they protect themselves and how they defend themselves and what they use, all these moves that they learn. But I was looking at it one day, and anybody noticed that marital almost looks like martial.
Right.
It looks like martial arts. So I'm thinking, hey, we're using marital arts, but we're using them the wrong way, right? Because now if you're a karate man and all this stuff, you train to maybe protect yourself, but you also can inflict pain. Oh. And we want to make sure that in marital arts, we're not learning how to inflict pain on our person. We're training and we're having all these intellectual bouts, but they can sometimes go to where we think, okay, you want to fight me, and it's not like that.
No, we want to be strategic and we want to be healthy. And, and that's another thing too. We came across this time period today of it being, here we are right after 6 months, and we're looking at it going, you know what, that was a good sign to us that we need to just do a little checkup on ourselves, kind of go.
Well, we kind of figured out like, I mean, you can have a cold. Mm-hmm. All right. So if your relationship is in like kind of an infirmary stage, right? Let's suppose you guys are in the winter months of your relationship. Right. And so you're catching the sniffles. There's a few things, you got the aches and the body pains. I mean, there's remedies for that stuff, right? I mean, you just don't throw out the person once they start sniffling. And sometimes in relationships, it feels like, man, this sniffle is the end, right? This sniffle could be the cost of everything that we've built. you know, and all that stuff, and you get the, you know, all the associated symptoms that go with the sniffles, you misdiagnose,
Right.
right? So you might be thinking you need an extreme level of care, and all you need is maybe a sit down break and replenish with water.
Right. So in our case, it was great today to go through a little snag in the moment and to realize that it was just a sniffle. We looked at each other and we were like, hey, wait, let's keep this in perspective. So sometimes it's good just to kind of take every area of your marriage and, you know, we're new at this, 6 months in, but, you know, take a little bit, every area of the marriage and kind of just subject it to the light and say, okay, so what's happening here?
Well, you know, remember when
not healthy?
when you were younger, your grandmother was like the doctor. You know, she knew everything. She'd go to the medicine cabinet and grab this stuff, and you know, she's grabbing all this stuff, and she's fixing a scraped knee with like a needle and thread, and it sometimes was overboard, you know, and then she uses alcohol, which is actually worse, you know, when you got the scrape. You know, just put some ice on it. But we trusted her, right? But sometimes as adults, we still work into that method that our grandmother knew best. Almost we use that same theory. We know best. And we may overtreat a symptom, right? And then, you know, kind of misdiagnose it. So today we're looking at how we diagnose each other, right? You look at each other and you try to fix each other and get them out of the bad mood and all this bad thing. But sometimes as a doctor, how's your bedside manner, right? You know, what's your bedside manner like? And then how do you approach your patient? How do you approach your wife when you have to be, or your husband, when you have to be sensitive enough to their condition without making them become a hypochondriac?
Right. Because sometimes there is something. I mean, let's be honest. There's always going to be something in each of us that needs to be worked on, maybe to make the relationship a little healthier. There should always be something you're working on.
Yeah.
Not going to reach perfection, you know, the side of heaven. So we, you know, can look at each thing, to each area and say, you know, okay, in the area of communication, I kind of have noticed, you're thinking in your own mind, that my spouse is doing this. And you might notice about yourself too. That's important. But sometimes we don't notice about ourselves and our spouse will.
Well, that's the same theory when you go to the dentist or the doctor even. But when you go to the dentist, he asks you the first question, have you been flossing? Well, he's not asking you because he doesn't know. He's looking in your mouth. He knows you're not flossing, but everybody already automatically says, yes, twice a day. And he knows that's not the truth. Same with doctors. When we go and he goes, how you been feeling? Or maybe when we leave the house and our wives say, tell the doctor everything. We rarely go in there and tell the doctor everything because he has maybe the ability to make us feel worse. If he confirms something that we think, Doc, I've been really having a pain over there. Oh, yeah, that's a huge problem for you. You're going to be down for a month, man. You know, we instantly turn to what could be the worst situation. And that's not outside of the bounds in marriage. And then we use the wrong marital arts, right? You might be in the Hakui position ready to fight, you know, a bear style, and it's really just a butterfly that needs to be woofed to the side. It may not need all that extra, you know, you may not have to put on the black belt, is what I'm saying, you know, and we may go overboard.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, how about you guys? I'm just wondering, whenever you're listening to this, is this making you think?
Do you go overboard? Do you go overboard diagnosing things and calling it what it is before it is, and really not, you know, you didn't even tell it, stick out your tongue. You don't even know what's down there yet, and you're just kind of dooming it up already, and, you know, you don't really have anything in your idea that it could be something else, that it may be something else.
Right.
Almost like the time you gave me ibuprofen, and I'm not supposed to have ibuprofen, right?
Because it seemed like the wise thing to do.
Yeah, you know, this could have never happened. This podcast could have never happened because you were like, you need ibuprofen, and
because ibuprofen helps with inflammation.
Normally, for most people,
a lot of inflammation.
For people that aren't allergic to it and that could like aspire from it, then yeah, it's great for them.
While it might help with the inflammation, it could cause some other
people, some people don't like it.
Some people don't do well with it. anyway, we're here. It's all that matters right this second. But it is a good.
Well, and so what we want to kind of bring these things, I guess we can describe more of our background. So my name is James Thompson. I am a mental health counselor. I attended Liberty University. This is where I met my wife last year. We're both in an intensive program at Liberty University. And so this somehow gelled into a marriage 8 months later. And here we are in our 6 months, moving into our now first year that we can officially call our first year. I've been doing mental health for the last 8 to 9 years. And over that time, I've kind of picked up some things that I would like to help people kind of understand more and kind of back down from some of those myths and some of those things that create all this kind of bad emotion. And so if we can get past that, then we've got some really good things to talk about. And most of the background is in marriage and family. So we're going to try to work with some things that help people kind of discern or get around their own way, get out of their own way.
Right.
And who are you, by the chance?
Yeah.
I've married you. I don't even know who you are yet. 6
I'm
months.
Melissa, and I am a long-time stay-at-home mom, but in the field of early childhood education and back at it and heading towards becoming a counselor as well. And so went from stay-at-home mom to back to working and doing grad school, but still had kids at home that I was raising. Didn't expect to get married. Didn't really expect that. Wasn't in my plan anytime in the very near future. But you know what? It's not always
Here we are.
not always what we think is going to happen. And so
You can
that
plan your
changed,
plan, but you better talk to the man.
That's right. That is exactly right. So very thankful and happy to be a wife, but not gonna lie, it's not like it's always the easiest thing in the world to have a blended family.
Yeah,
For one thing, we have 10 kids between the two of us, and 8 going on 9 grandkids. And so it's a
lot to talk about.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna try to put some legs to this thing and actually try to build a library of things and have that grandma's medicine cabinet appeal to where maybe there's some situations in your house, things that are going on, and hopefully you open this up and you see some of these topics and ideas and you just get more aware. You can just kind of relax and let us do the talking. Interact with us if you can by email, and maybe we'll open the show up live sometimes, looking at some YouTube live situations or even doing some forums. We'll see in the future once we get there. But you guys, we appreciate it. We're just doing small blocks right now. That's how you eat a big sandwich. We feel good about it, that we actually got a podcast at last going. So I appreciate us being able to just share in the first moment and all of you. So stay tuned. We look forward to you. Spreaker Radio, it's going to be our platform. We're looking at just expanding in 2026. Happy New Year to all of you, to your families. And we wish you all the greatest year and do what you love. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.